He is the father of Susan Powell. Chuck Cox joining us. Chuck, I really appreciate you coming in. I'm sorry for the circumstances that brings you here.
Nice to be here.
All right. And then I also have on the line the attorney for the Cox family, Ann Bremner, is with us as well. Hey, Ann, thank you for your time as well.
My pleasure. Thanks, Dori.
Okay, Chuck, let me start with you. We were talking very briefly before we went on the air. You have 4 girls. I have 3 daughters. And I think that's why this story affects me so much, because I can't even imagine what you're going through as a dad. Can you take me back to December 2009 when you heard that Susan was missing?
Well, I was at work, and I got a phone call from, I think it was Jennifer Graves, Josh's oldest sister. I can't recall if that was her, which one of the friends down in Utah. And she was asking if I had heard from Susan, because they had not dropped the children off at school, and nobody was able to get a hold of them. And so I told her, well, no, I haven't. And she wanted me to check with the sisters, with Susan's sisters, and so I told her I would. And so I started calling around to see, but I assured her that one of the kids got sick or something. They probably had to run off to the hospital, or who knows what was, but it was something minor.
When did you start to realize that it was not just minor?
Well, I called her sisters, and I said, I don't want to upset you or anything, and they hadn't heard from her. And so then I called back and told them, told, I believe it was Jennifer, but anyway, that we had not heard from them. And I had to call my wife, and she had not heard from her either. So that's when they told me, well, their daycare provider had contacted them and had tried all the emergency numbers, and there was no answer at those things. So I thought, well, still got to be something. So that lasted most of the day, and we just didn't know.
What's that uncertainty, that early uncertainty, like? Because I'm a worrier. When I can't get hold of one of my girls, I'm used to this instant. I text them, they text right back, and I'm a worrier if I don't hear back right away. What's it like when it stretches into hours and then days?
Well, the first day it was kind of, well, I'm sure there's a simple explanation. They're going to turn up and everything will be fine. When on Monday that night, Josh ended up showing up, and he had the boys with him, but Susan was gone, and that's when it was bad. It was like, oh no, what has happened? What could have possibly happened here? And so from then on, it's just been kind of day to day. It's been a struggle. It's emotionally, it just tears you apart, and you don't know what's going on. The first days were, of course, the worst, and then the police came involved and said it was suspicious, under suspicious circumstances, and we've been just going day to day. Every day you hope to hear something.
None of my girls are married yet, but I would imagine as a father-in-law, you're also feeling compassion for Josh right off the bat. I mean, I don't know what your relationship was like with him before this happened, but I would imagine you're deeply concerned about your daughter, but you're also caring about your son-in-law and what he's going through, and the kids, too.
Well, I was surprised not to hear from him. I mean, I didn't hear from him until the next day.
What was your relationship with Josh like before all this?
Well, how old are your daughters?
21, 17, and 16.
Okay. Well, when they bring home that guy that they're interested in, you don't necessarily instantly bond with whoever they bring home. You may have your opinions, but pretty much I kept those to myself, and my daughter, choose who she chooses, and so.
So you weren't crazy about it?
No, but
Okay.
you try to make it work. I mean,
Yeah.
You try to get along as best you can, and I thought that's the way it was. Josh would have some troubles now and then, and he would need some advice on what do I do about this problem or that problem, and I would talk with him, and he seemed to listen, and he seemed to appreciate that. And I thought it was a reasonable, relationship between us.
Ann Bremner, how soon did the police start to want to talk to Josh and identify him as a person of interest?
Well, it was really right away, Dori, and they've always said he's the only person of interest. You know, keep in mind, as you know, he said he took a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, their children, camping in sub-zero freezing temperatures at midnight, and didn't report his wife missing. When she was missing, there was a wet spot on the carpet being dried. They did do a search warrant for his car. He drove in a rental car for hundreds of miles. They searched mines, of course, in Nevada. And, you know, there's a number of things that they've looked at in this case over the last 20 months with him. And, of course, his more recent statements and his father-in-law's statements in this case. But finally, you know, he moved away from Utah right away and came out to Puyallup, even though she was still a missing person.
And so, Chuck, as Josh refuses to talk to the police, how infuriating was that?
Well, it's infuriating. Why would he be afraid to go talk with the police department and clear things up? I mean, it just makes no sense at all. I mean, he did talk to him once, and then they wanted him back for a second time. He got an attorney and said, and has refused to talk with the West Valley City Police Department, the primary department investigating the investigation, ever since. And I've only talked to him like once or twice, and he's basically cut off all communications with myself from our family, my side of the family, Susan's side of the family. So it's frustrating.
You have to defend people sometimes, Ann. Give me a plausible scenario where an innocent husband and father would refuse to talk to police when his wife is missing.
Well, you know, Dori, I've been at this 28 years. I've known you a long time. You know me. I don't know of any. I don't know of any I've covered in terms of being a TV analyst or any that I've handled myself. He's also said he'll only talk to the FBI if they hire him a lawyer and pay for him. The FBI has nothing to do with this case. Everybody, look at Mark Klass as a great example. His daughter went missing. He took a polygraph. He cooperated. He helped search. That's what you expect when someone has a missing woman.
So, Chuck, you've never said you think Josh did harm to your daughter. Is that just a public position you don't want to take, but you might feel differently in your heart?
That's a position I have to take. My association with Josh and his family and their unique personalities, for a charitable way of saying it,
to say the least, yeah.
I can't. Strange things. It's just because it's strange doesn't mean they're bad or they've done something, and I just have to stay there until we have evidence. And so, yeah, it's something. I have my own fears and feelings, but I have to be on that side and let the police do their work.
And do you have to do that for legal purposes, or do you have to do that for your own sanity?
Both. Yeah, definitely for my own sanity. I know how everything looks. I mean, but I have to at least. I also have to keep a hope alive that she may be somehow alive somewhere and she'll return. But I know how everything looks. And
why hasn't the police named Josh as a suspect? And what are their limitations since they have not found Susan? What are their limitations for what they could charge him with, and why haven't they been able to try to compel him to talk with them at this point?
Well, he's asserted his rights under the Fifth Amendment and under Miranda, so they can't compel him. They have probable cause at this point to arrest because they had that for search warrants. They have Puyallup executed and also back in Utah. They've been very active in the last few weeks. And we don't know everything that they have because they've been very tight-lipped, but circumstantial evidence cases can be stronger than direct evidence cases. And I think that they're coming to a conclusion. We're hopeful for that. We're very careful about not impeding that investigation in any way, or making comment that could jeopardize that investigation. But we're very hopeful to see justice shortly.
And I feel horrible asking this in front of you, Chuck, because you're a father. I'm a father. There's no body. You're hoping Susan's alive. So it's, I'm guessing, your dream come true is that Josh is not charged with a murder because you're hoping Susan's alive right now, right?
We have that sliver of hope. We do.
And given that sliver of hope, Ann, the police have to be very limited, or prosecutors, I should say, have to be very limited in what they could charge anybody that they suspect with, right?
That's right. And we don't know what they found in Nevada. They said it was a successful search. There are cases of homicide prosecuted without bodies, of course. Like I said, we don't know everything that they have, but we know they're working very, very hard on this case, and with the goal of resolving it and finding out what happened to her, whether she's alive or dead.
All right. Tell you what, let me take a break. We're going to continue here. Chuck Cox is with me in the studio. He's the father of Susan Powell and family attorney for the Coxes. Ann Bremner is on with us as well, and we'll continue the conversation here as the Dori Monson Show rolls on.